I saw a graphic today that I could scarcely believe. I'm sharing it with you because it's probably also going to blow your mind because there's simply no way that this is true and that somebody achieving what they are achieving is being tolerated. I don't even know the way to say it, right? Being tolerated. And there's a lot of weird, bad excuses that are being provided for it. But this is the graphic. That in the last 8 months, Manchester United has won 6 Premier League matches, which obviously, when you started out in that fashion, you're attempting to be misleading, right? Obviously, when you start this sort of thing in that way, you're going, well, the last 8 months? Yeah, the offseason was over the course of the last 8 months. So yeah, they only won 6 matches in the Premier League over that time. Obviously, it could be a lot better. There's a million different ways you can slice the fact that Manchester United were abysmal last season, then lost the Europa League final, then they've started this season and looked not too hot. Then the graphic hits you with, the rest of this. Just get above this line, and you get the teams that they have beaten. 2 teams that were since relegated, which would be Ipswich and Leicester, that they beat right towards the end of last year. 10-man Aston Villa, who were without a player for a significant portion of the game. Then they have recently, kind of over the last month and a half, beaten Burnley, beaten a Chelsea team that was, again, without a man for a significant portion of the match, and then beat newly promoted Sunderland. Now, to be fair to Sunderland, they've actually been pretty good this year. But still, this is a team that many people predicted to finish dead last in the Premier League coming into this season. So it's not like there is a talent, a level talent pool between Manchester United and Sunderland. There's just one team that was coming into it, I would say, a little more confident. The Manchester United has found the win. This is all the result of a hot streak right here. Hot streak for Manchester United. Absolutely rocking through September to the beginning, the end of August to the beginning of September, picking up 3 wins from 5. Insane, right? Can you imagine what this sort of graphic would look like without this? I mean, it took me a while, like when I saw this. Look, this is Manchester United. I mean, I am not from, and I'm not going to lean into that too hard, but I just got to make a point here. I am not from the English football media sphere. I'm from soccer land. I came to the sport late in the sense that I wasn't born with a ball at my feet, right? And I didn't grow up having Manchester United fans brag at school and just kind of seeing the kind of mystique that this club has. Right, it is not unfair to say that 20 years ago, Real Madrid, well, that's kind of the point I was making. Manchester United had a Real Madrid type aura. What Real Madrid has now. They just vacuumed up every good player. And every good player wanted to be there. That was the other thing. They wanted to be there because it was a team that was always good. It was a team that never had a down year. It was a team that never really had a player poached. Cristiano Ronaldo being a sterling exception. Even David Beckham, it was kind of a fallout and they wanted to get rid of him. Right? It was like a bipolar power structure right at the top of the game with Manchester United and Real Madrid in that era. And in order to stay at that level, you have to maintain that mystique. But the reason that I was kind of bringing it up in the first place is it is jarring to me to see that this is Manchester United's list of wins in the last 8 months. 8 months. It's the beginning of October. That's the 10th month. We're talking February. I don't care if there's a gap in the middle of that. We are talking February. That last win, here, I need to find it. I dug it out earlier. That last win was February 26th against Ipswich. Their win before that was January 26th. I looked up the other 4. Right, because these are 6 wins. There's only 10 wins in the Amorim, portfolio. It's a 1-0 against Fulham, a 3-1 against Southampton, by the way, also relegated. Right, that's 7 of the 10 wins against basically shorthanded opposition that has either had a very recent interaction or a future interaction with the championship or what have you. It's not like Fulham's a European team either. Right, their other win, Manchester City. 2-1, December 15th, 2024, and then Everton in a 4-0 win, which was Ruben Amorim's first at the helm on December 1st, 2024, I believe. That would track, considering he has won 10 matches in his career. But that's it. He has coached the team for nearly a year and has won 10 Premier League matches. It's not even the most startling. Like, the numbers here are baffling. They're not startling, they're baffling. Ruben Amorim with those 6 wins in the last 8 months, all against bad teams. Right? You square up the teams that he has beaten overall. I mean, he's really beaten one top half team that wasn't shorthanded. Like Aston Villa and Chelsea both were missing players for a significant portion of the match. Right? That's just luck of the draw. That's RNG. Right? Eventually, you're going to play a team that gets a red card, and you got to be able to capitalize on that. It could have been worse. He could have blown those, but he didn't as a manager. And then outside of that, has he beaten an even strength team that's top half of the league? Manchester City, once. Which, if you're going to buy yourself some time, go win the derby. But that was nearly a year ago now. And he's still here. Okay, here's some other numbers. Like, this sent me down a rabbit hole, as you can imagine. I see this graphic and I go, wow, it's even worse than I thought. It's stunning. How about this? After 33 matches, so this, was before the last match, which was a win for him against Sunderland. His most impressive win in a while, to be perfectly honest, as the manager of Manchester United. He had 34 points from his first 33 games, fewest by managers appointed to existing Premier League clubs. They hit him with the existing, which is crazy. I mean, these are clubs that, AFC, Wimbledon, Wigan, Southampton, Blackburn. These clubs are not in the Premier League anymore and very well might have been relegated under the tutelage of these managers. That's the point that they're trying to make here. Ruben Amorim, in fact, for current Premier League clubs, for whatever it's worth, has had the second worst managerial start ever to make it to 33 matches. Obviously, there's managers that don't make it to 33 matches pretty often. But making it to this point, 34 points from 33. The worst ever to make it to this point was 29 on Blackburn. So this graphic really illustrates what Manchester United is putting up with here. Because I believe two things. Manchester United's not as talented as they think they are. Right? But although that seems to have reversed so dramatically that Manchester United just thinks that they belong here now, which is also not true. I'm just saying Manchester United, talent-wise, is probably the 7th or 8th best team in the Prem. Just, band for band, player for player. Clearly, they underachieved that. But if you had somebody that was willing to come in here and manage it like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer or maybe a Jose Mourinho and, compact and counter and whatever, Europe is not off the table for this. I mean, the team's plenty good enough to be able to threaten, be able to beat teams that, have been finishing above them pretty consistently recently. But anyways, it's possible for me to believe that they're not as talented as they think they are. And also believe that what they are doing, because of what I was just talking about, is gross underachievement. I mean, it's one thing to say, well, Manchester United's not been in Europe. They're not finishing in European places. They're not playing in Europe this year. That is an abject failure for a club that spends as much money as Manchester United, has the reputation of Manchester United. Should be impossible, right? But then you look at this. Manchester United's not just putting up with bad for Manchester United. They're putting up with bad for everyone. Almost no other club in the Prem has put up with this. And the clubs that did were not good. They were not good at all. Not recent either. Back in the day, they used to give managers more time. Steve Keane, the youngest guy on this list in terms of when his run occurred, was in 2010, 2011. All of these happened from 1993 to 2011. So in an era where there is more consistent managerial turnover, in an era where that is accepted, where it is a professional fact of life, where it is not as jarring to fire a manager early as it used to be, and with a club that expects to be so much better than these other clubs that were putting up with these types of managerial spells, it is startling to see a club that is tolerating this kind of performance. From the first graphic we've seen to this graphic to how about this? Remember when David Moyes, the sky was falling? David Moyes won 17 matches. Ruben Amorim's won 10 in 34. And people thought David Moyes was just the worst manager ever. I remember that. Manchester United fans were in shock at the way David Moyes was performing. They didn't know what to do with themselves. Ruben Amorim is nearly double the suck of David Moyes, which is impressive as hell. Double the suck And while he has less losses than David Moyes in this stretch, David Moyes is also not anywhere near this list. And when you look back at this list, there's just one more thing I want to point out. Because Ruben Amorim has not only failed to deliver in the points, he has suffered a ton of defeats. He does not find ways to get results as a manager with Manchester United. In fact, in this column, he has the second most defeats, the second most losses of any manager ever after 33 matches. He has lost more. He's the only player, he's one of the only two managers after 33 matches in Premier League history to have lost more than half the matches they've managed and still be in a job. That is a true sentence. Now he has lost exactly half. He has lost half of the matches he has been in charge in the Premier League at Manchester United. After 34 matches, he's lost half of them. Now look, I've seen the titles, right? Articles. Sure, Jim Ratcliffe won't make a knee-jerk decision. He's not had the best seasons. Ruben needs to demonstrate he's a great coach over 3 years. That's where I would be. Sure, Jim Ratcliffe doing what I believe sometimes is the right thing to do, which is make a principled stand behind somebody that you believe in. Comparisons to somebody like Mikel Arteta. Mikel Arteta was never near this bad. Let's stop kidding ourselves about where Arsenal was at their worst. 8th. Manchester United doubled that up last season, and that was all Ruben Amorim at the wheel. Now, the funny thing is at the end of this video, I say Ruben Amorim looks like a great coach. He rose up the Portuguese game like a rocket. He won everywhere he went. He went to Sporting. He built a brilliant team. Manchester United just is a toxic situation. Nobody can put their finger on it, but players and coaches go there to die. It's the exact opposite of what it used to be. So I don't think Ruben Amorim is a terrible coach, but I do think that he has proven pretty conclusively he's not the right coach for this job. And that if these graphics and these types of statistics don't illustrate that, I don't know what will. Now, sure, this 3 wins in 5 might be the start of something for Manchester United. But given who they've played, but given who they've managed to beat, either championship-associated teams or teams down to 10 men, essentially, bottom half of the league teams at the very best, and one random win against Manchester City nearly a year ago. I wouldn't hold your breath. I wouldn't hold your breath.